Before we do introductions, I want you to look on page 3 of this beautiful book. And I'm going to say, first of all, that this is the hard work of the committee and these wonderful presenters up here, and somebody who is not here that has done this several years for us. And she works with Nancy, and that would be Chrissy Marshall. She does a beautiful job with getting what we need into this form so that you've got it. And what I'd like you to do now is 2 things for me. 1, take out a pen and put your name on it. I can't tell you how many people came up to me last year and said, I had my book on my blah, 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 and somebody walked off with it. We can't afford to give you another one. So put your name on it. You know, and I'm kind of one of those, oh, it's going to ruin the cover. You may not have the cover to worry about it being ruined. So I would put your name on that, number 1. Number 2, how many of you have a cell phone? The cloaking device goes on now. You know, unless you have a medical problem that means you need this on, please put it on buzz or silent. It's kind of hard to concentrate when you've got all this pretty music going on in the background. So if you will do that, we would be most appreciative. Okay. Well, we'll do the pitches first. We have from our seminar last year, juggling here, It's All Greek to Me. These are on sale for $10. These are a great resource. There's only a few of these left. Every year we have been offering the DVDs. We're doing that again at a reduced rate if you purchase here at the show. And I believe we have PayPal this year, Nancy?
We do. They have to just come see me.
Okay, you have to see Nancy for the PayPal. Right. Otherwise, you know me, I'll be sitting at the Breed Ed table. I'll have my little cash box. You can pay by check or cash with me, but you won't be able to PayPal through me. So if you purchase the DVD, and Breed Ed makes nothing off of this, but you know they try to make it so that it's affordable for you. That would be Kathy Peters. If you purchase here and you are in continental United States, it's $18, and that will include your shipping. If you are Canada or Mexico, we have to add postage to that. So it's on the sign. It'll be at the table. But you'll still get it at a reduced price if you buy here. We also have these beautiful books, and they are for sale for
They're
$10 also.
But you get both, 18.
Okay. Nancy's all into deals. So if you buy it for your friends, it's Greek, All Greek to Me, and an extra copy of Prodigy Puppies, then that's 18. Got that? Okay. Part of breed education is letting you know that what you do here at the show, the ribbons, the camaraderie is all great, but we're here primarily for the dogs. We want those dogs to have beautiful conformation, and that conformation just isn't a beauty contest. That goes down to the bones. Without the structure and the bones, the beauty is nothing if it can't walk around and run around. If it can't do what it's bred to do, don't be in collies. They deserve it. You are their caretakers. See the Collie Health Foundation. They have wonderful things going on. I have this big sign here. There's all this testing that they make extremely affordable for you. There is absolutely no reason, but all the excuses in the world, not to do it. Do it now. Safeguard our breed. Thank you for that. Now let's get into the fun stuff. Page 3. 2 and 3, we've got our panelists, but I want you to look at page 4. This is pretty much how the day is going to go today. And I'm going to try to be that taskmaster. Then I want you to flip back to page 31. Viewing the National. You want to look at this. This is going to kind of give you, even if you've been to the National over and over again, it kind of founds you and says, these are some things I need to do to get the most out of this presentation of these dogs here. And then on the next page, it's how to view the National. And you're going, aren't they both the same? If you look at it, it's not. So go ahead and give that a glance and see what it is. And then, of course, nothing with the Collies would be anything without page 34, which is the standard. If you are a judge, raise your hand. And you are here. No, raise it. Get it up there. Okay. Probably one of the most remarkable things of judging is going to different parts of the country and seeing different collies bred all to the standard, and they don't look like your dogs or your area. But they are so true to the standard. That's fun. When you go around, get your hands on these dogs. Ask. Don't just go up to somebody's dog and put your hand on it. Ask. Collect those pedigrees. See how those pedigrees mesh with other ones. Find out what those dogs are like. Take the opportunity. Now let's meet our people. Oh, wait, before you meet your people, you have little cards? If you have questions, legibly, this is coming from the teacher. I don't care about the spelling. I've seen it all. I can figure it out. But the penmanship, I will grade you on it. Write your question on the card. There's no way we're going to get to 118 questions, but the wonderful periodicals we have will make an article. Our panelists are going to answer the questions, and then you'll get your answer one way or the other. This is how you get out of here. This is your exit. You have to turn in a card to get out. Even if you want to write something about the seminar on it, you have to write something on your card to get out of here. Remember, doors are locked. Okay, you're laughing if you don't know me. Other people are going, it's not funny. It isn't funny at all. Yes?
Do you have the extra cards?
Aha, see? She knows me. If you need extra cards, if you need a card, raise your hand. Put them up high. Let's get some cards out here. Okay. Notice, a semi-presenter is raising her hand. She goes, I know her. She's not going to let me out of here. Okay. We have Nancy Anstruther. Yes. Raise your hand. Okay.
Present.
Sally Wood. We're not going to make her stand. Notice, she came here on a knee cart. That's dedication to the collie. Cards, raise your hands. Van is coming around. Our next panelist is on this side. We have Lotta Hedman. Lotta. Okay. Lotta is directly associated with Lynn. Stand up. This is the other rep, the original part of Milas. They have been co-breeding for a while. You will see Lotta in the ring. You don't see Lynn in the ring so much anymore, but get to know them both. Lots of information. Okay, next we have Diana, not Diane. Diana. Hiiesalu?
Yes.
Yes, I said it right. And she is Entice Collies, correct?
What is it? Pardon? Entice.
Entice?
Yes.
Yep, Entice Collies, okay. The other person that you see on there, you're not going to physically see here, is Leslie Rappaport, Kings Valley Collies. You will see her in a video. It's a remarkable one. You will love it. Next down the row, we have Marion Sullivan, Milnock. And I'd like to point out, okay, how many of you ladies on the panel have produced dogs that do what a collie should do? They do performance, they've done obedience, they've done conformation. Produce them. You may not have done it yourself, but your dogs do. Raise your hands. Wake up, people. They should do it all. that's what you got a collie for, because they are that smart. Sometimes a little smarter than us, but we'll be talking about that today. And none of this would be possible without the wonderful committee that you people have pretty much voted into being. And that would be Barbara Cleek. Barbara, where are you? She's outside the door. She's incognito. Lauren Collies, Debbie Holland, who you have seen running around. She's taking care of parking. Fantasy Collies, we have Larry Parsons. Larry is back there. Cheviot Collies. We have Tim Garrison back there. Eagle Hill. He's just kind of looking like, I'm here, see me. Tim has been putting those wonderful genetic articles in the bulletin, so that's your connection. Make sure you talk to these people. We have Nancy McDonald, Barksdale, right up here. Mary Robichon, Galatian. Kathleen George is not here, DeRosa. She is at home in the puppy maternity ward, so that's where she needed to be. We have Deb Smith, was passing out cards a little while ago, Monarch. There she is back there. She is one of our 2 mentor liaisons, so she's helping doing that mentoring section. Make sure you wear your name tags when you mentor. Sign up for mentoring. It is a wonderful thing. We have great mentors. Ask them questions. Say thank you to them, too. They appreciate that. Then we have 2 interns this year, 2 more interns, and we have Frank Trevino, Maverick Collies. Okay, the point of our interns is we take in kind of newer people, and we use their talents, and we immerse them in what we do. Learning experience, Frank? Work intensive? Yes. Another one, Courtney Dowling, is Tierradell's. She's coming from Alaska, so she's not quite here yet, but she will be here. And then the CCFA has instituted a junior intern program where we take aged out, notice I didn't say old, aged out juniors, and we let them be in this to kind of experience it, because we're all getting older and we need fresh blood in there. And if we teach them what it is, they won't be afraid to jump in and do it. And that would be Lindsay Dowling. And I'm Pat Caldwell. So are you ready? Did I get everything? I did, oh. Okay, yeah, I introduced everybody. Because I said she was on an e-cart.
I'm right here.
She's right there. Trust me, they're not quiet. Okay, we are not going to read that booklet to you, but we are going to ask them certain questions, and they can play off each other is okay, but because we only have so much time, I'm going to be kind of like the ringmaster and say, okay, let's kind of wrap that one up and go on to the next one. Now, this was a question that wasn't on there, that I just want you to kind of from the hip answer. They're like, oh, it's a pop quiz. What's the best part about puppies? The best part about puppies. So when you say puppies, what's the one thing you like most?
Everything.
Yeah, turn your mic.
Puppies.
Puppies.
Yeah, make sure that you're on. Okay, everything.
We don't know how to turn anything on. That's our first problem. Well, what do we do now? I know Irv told us.
Irv has you on,
No, Irv
so
has
you're good.
Okay.
And these, remember they said would pick up because Marianne said, oh, they're going to pick up some things with people want to hear, but don't want to hear.
I think everything. I mean, I love well-being to raising them, seeing them change, opening their eyes, to, watching them grow into adults and, watching the whole process.
Okay, anybody else? Yeah.
I think that they're so exciting because they're the future. And you sit in that box and you think and you dream and you project all your wantings into this litter. And so there's so much promise, and I find them thrilling.
Okay.
I'd say when they become like 4 to 5 weeks old and they really start to behave like puppies and do puppy things, and you can start interacting with them a lot more. That's really the exciting part, and you can start watching their development at that age.
I think also watching them grow into what you hope that they're going to be is really exciting.
Okay, so important things they're saying is the hope, the anticipation, the watching, the dreaming, the future. All of those things, and isn't that why we are doing the breeding? So, on with the show. Now that we've got that out there, and you can all go, that was your relaxing point. Diana, when you're considering your next litter, how important is the showmanship of the parents, and what consideration should be taken?
Showmanship to me is extremely important. I think I wrote in the,
And you can look at them. You don't have to look at me unless you don't want to look at them, because they're
on.
making faces. Then you can,
is the mic on?
oh, it'll always be on.
Yeah, the dogs that I picked most of the time that I saw in the ring stood out to me from across the room. And I want a dog that has the attitude, has the knack, has the movement, is not spooky. That's a big pet peeve of mine. And I just feel like that's really important to the type of dog that I want to live with and go in the ring with.
Okay. Nancy, in your response to that, you said, and this is a quote, "Some of our best producing girls have not been a big fan of the show ring. So you have to double down on your efforts to ensure puppies are well socialized." How do you do that?
I don't know. Well, first of all, I really like dogs that want to show, and I used to show Shetland sheepdogs a lot, and as you guys know, Shetland sheepdogs can have horrible temperaments, and you really have to work very hard with them. And I watched my friends that were breeders breed very spooky dogs to very spooky dogs and got spinners and spooks and awful things. And you start to kind of think, wow, maybe there's a little more genetics to this than I thought there was originally. And so we started looking at the collies the same way. The dogs that really want to show are the ones we want to breed to. So when we have had a couple of girls that just, we could finish them, but they didn't want to be there. And so with those little puppies, we really do a lot of hands-on with them and getting them out to certain places and just spending extra time with puppies that we're a little concerned of that aren't going to love it.
Oop. Okay, we're going to go over to Mary Ann.
Can I just add something to that,
Absolutely.
Pat?
That's what we want to do.
One thing, when I started getting back into showing, I had a blue bitch named Milnox Blue Note. Her name was Ruby. And she was a show dog through and through. She loved dog shows. And she'd go out there, and she wasn't the best one, maybe, but she thought she was. And she just sold herself every minute. And I didn't have to do anything. I just was the facilitator. And once you have that, I think it's very hard. I see some people go to shows with these dogs are just like, blah, why am I here? They're wonderful house dogs. They're good at home. They're wonderful pets. But they're just not, they don't have that extra thing. And I think to myself, like, are you having fun showing that? Because after having Ruby, it's very hard to go back from there to less than that. It's so much more fun to have a dog be in there with you as a team. So that became a very important element to me.
And that leads us right to the question I was going to ask. Talk about what it is that you look for in that development of a puppy, so that you look at that puppy and you say, I know that this is what should happen. The genetics are there. Now what do you do with it? Because if you don't nurture, what's going to happen?
So how do I see it, or how do I nurture it?
Yes.
Well, if Ruby's my template, if she's the one I look back to, my foundation bitch, and who I want my dogs to be like, temperament and personality-wise, then the puppies, when I'm observing the puppies, those are the puppies I'm looking for. Those little puppies that are, I don't know, they look you in the eye, they are demanding, they've got a certain charisma to them, and they're fun. They're fun to be around. You don't have to work. And, you know, I don't want to do all that work. I don't want to be the cheerleader. I want to put my energy into being a teammate, not a cheerleader. So those are the things, aside from the usual conformation aspects, those are the things that are the ideal for me.
Okay, I'm going to ask each of the other three, what is your template for that puppy? That puppy that's going to be the one that goes into the ring and says, "Hi, I'm here, look at me." And if the judge doesn't look at him, they go, "Look at me, look at me, look at me." How do you know that that's going to be in your puppy? What are you looking for? Diana?
I think the thing that I've seen with young puppies is that there's a willingness to please, and that they want to make eye contact with me, they want to be with me, I'm their everything. And I think that's very important, to have that relationship, to go into the ring and ask them to work for you for the few minutes, or that will transfer if you want to do obedience with them or herding. And if they don't have that willingness to please, then it's harder to do it. And the attitude for showing is a little extra, I think, over that, because you can have a dog that's willing to please, that's a real mild-mannered dog, and then you can have a dog that's very high energy that has that. And those are the really fun ones to show in the ring. So
Okay,
that's an
Lotta.
important thing.
Lotta?
I think the ones that are independent are always fun because they're always high energy and they want to do everything, and and just the ones that look at you in the eye too, I think just as well. But but you can make a dog want to show just as well. It's always how much work you want to put into them. I mean, that's what it's about, whether you want to do it or not. If you want to put the work into them, you can do it.
Right, so if you have that puppy that's the pleaser with the eye contact.
Right.
If you just let that puppy be.
Right. But if you have one that, it all depends on how many you're going to raise. I mean, that's reality. I mean, if you're raising and keeping 5-6 puppies, yeah, if you have one that doesn't have the outgoing personality, you're not going to have the time to put the work into that puppy. But if you're just keeping one, and that's the one puppy you're going to concentrate on, you can do it. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, if you want to do it, you can do it. It all depends on how much time and energy you want to put into something, because there are no limits to what you can change something.
Right, so even
Yeah.
if you have a natural showman,
Right.
it's still work.
Yeah, it's work, it all depends on what you want to put into that puppy. Even if the dog is not as outgoing or, is happy-go-lucky, you can change things, it all depends. I think we're all lazy at this point, and it's much more fun if you have one that's the natural-born one. But, I had one that just was an oddball, and, I decided that was the one that I wanted to be the one. And, he just came to the barn with me. I said, "You are not going to be a weirdo." And he just, and I just decided he was going to come to the barn with me every single day, and I did. He came to the barn with me, and he just looked at me like I had 3 heads, and, like, why am I down here? And you know what? It took like 3 weeks, and then he decided that this was really fun. And he's a great show dog.
Right, but you still found something in that puppy
Yeah.
that says, well, he could do it.
Yeah.
I just have to make him want
Right.
to do it.
And it wasn't like I made him stand there and show in the barn or anything. He just hung out with me, and that was it.
Right.
And then he connected, and, and that was it. It wasn't like I ran around with cookies. It was just like, I was like, okay, we're in the barn, and you're going to hang out with me. And it all depends on how much work you want to put into something.
Okay. Nancy?
They've already said everything.
Okay, you're good. I kind of thought from the body language.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, though, is sometimes dogs are slow to come along to be a star, right? We've had dogs that go in the ring at 6 months, they're like, oh, I guess I can do it, I'll try it, and then we have one dog, and he's 4 years old, and he's just turned into a superstar in the ring. He just wants to be there now and has realized, it took his brain a little bit longer, but he realized that it's super fun. He gets to travel and be with mom. And so sometimes it just like Lotta says, you spend a lot of time, sometimes 4 years, and then they're a star.
Right. Okay. Temperament testing. Do any of you temperament test?
No, I'm just very loud with all our puppies, you know. I throw bowls around, you know, anything. You know, they react, I keep throwing it until there's no reaction left.
So exposure. Allow them to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, have any of you done temperament testing and don't do it anymore? Okay, and,
Yeah, well, I do temperament testing.
okay, you do temperament testing. I'm going to hang on here for a minute. You did it, but don't do it now.
I did it with the first Collie litter I looked at actually several, and the bitch that I picked was great temperament. Oh my God. And then after that, after breeding, it was just living with them. You know what they can and can't do, or what they will or won't do, and what you're looking for. It's just, if I had to go look at a litter where I was buying from someone else, I would certainly do certain things to see how they reacted, but with my own puppies, you just know because you're there all the time.
Okay, so a common thread, if you're catching what they're saying from where we started to where we are now, is that it's the experience that they have with what they've been doing, but they are not just taking these puppies and letting these puppies develop on their own. They are looking at them. They have evaluated them. They're putting that in their head so that they can see and they can know. So if you're looking for those puppies, it sounds like the work is put into the initial that you started at, and you've moved down the road, gathered that information, moved down the road, gathered that information, and you're continuing on. So now we're going to talk to Marianne, who does do temperament testing. How many of you know Milnock Collies? How many of you have seen them in the performance ring? How many of you saw Team Milnock last year? I mean, they had their T-shirts on and everything. They're serious.
Yeah, they are.
How many of you have seen happy working dogs? That is important. Those dogs go in the ring, and I'm going to use another breed for an example right now because I think it's kind of fun. I love watching the back end of a bulldog wag because he doesn't have a tail. The Milnock dogs working are wagging every part of their body and their hair too, and they are one with the handler, and they're having a darn good time. That's what you want. Somebody said, and I'm not going to remember which one of you did, you'll remember who it was. You bring that dog into the ring and the dog's like, really? Again? Why do you want to do that? You want to produce these dogs that these ladies have that say, hi, Mom, come on to it. Marianne.
Well, I used the Volhards, I think, developed the original temperament test. And I'm talking 25 years ago, probably now. Nancy Kelso and I used to go around and temperament test litters all around our area. And I did see a lot of differences in the different breeds. And so when we did our own puppies, we could sort of compare. And initially I was using it to help me figure out which puppies should go to which homes for performance and things like that. But at this point I use it, since I have generations now, to really fine tune or see small distinctions that maybe can help me, inform me where to put a puppy. But I still learn something new
So let's stop there
from
1
doing
minute.
it.
You said something that I think is pivotal, that helps you to decide where to put a puppy. I know one thing that you said was you love those advertisements that say pet or performance.
Yeah, I don't love this.
I know, that's why I put it that way. You know what?
Performance has gotten so competitive now, and the people who go into it, it's so expensive for them that, you know, they want to feel like they have a chance, you know, or they want to feel like they're competitive. So, it's just more information is all it is to help them. And like if, not all puppies are the same, and sometimes you don't always see things that are there, like sound sensitivity. If I see a sound-sensitive puppy, then I don't say that's not a puppy that should go to a performance home. I just tell the owner, get it out, get it socialized, or get it accustomed to as many different noises as you can. So when that equipment starts banging in the ring, it won't matter to the puppy. And so they do it, because I told them to.
Okay, but that's an important thing. Now notice, she said that and then she smiled because she told them to. But that's part of what you ladies do when you place your puppies. What kind of mentoring do you do? And we'll get back on this in a minute. What kind of mentoring do you do to people who come to get your puppies? Even your pet puppy. Do you just send them off? Here's the pedigree, here's some food, here's some water. What do you do?
I spend a lot of time with the people prior. I don't have a lot.
Or performance or anybody?
It doesn't matter.
They're leaving your house.
Well, and I also help people that don't have dogs, puppies from me. In fact, I just helped a woman a couple weeks ago. She got an older dog, and I've been helping her email and talking to her. And it's very important to me to help whoever in our breed to keep people happy with their dogs. And so when someone gets one of my puppies, I just tell them, I am your breeder for life. No matter what happens to this dog, no matter how long you have it, if you can't have it, it comes back to me. You can call me anytime, for the most part. And I've dealt with my people till the dog dies, and I love that. And I want them to feel that they can call me if they have an issue with anything, either health or temperament or whatever it is. And I don't want them to feel afraid. So I spend a lot of time with my puppy people, and most of the time, I'm not a big breeder. I have maybe a litter every 2 years or every year, and so I'm very low volume. But I just feel like I can't give these people enough time, that it's my duty. So, and it doesn't matter if they're or what I was going to say is almost all my dogs go to pet homes. An occasional home, they go to a show or a performance home. She has one of them, my friend Jerry, right there, who's doing agility right now. And actually, I have another one that does a lot of different stuff, nose work and conformation. And she was going to do tracking. And
I'm going to call on Lynn here for a minute. Okay. If you're not aware, Lynn is probably, I would say, known internationally. She's got dogs all over the world. How do you help those people, like in Brazil or in, in Europe? How do you do that?
Well, what's really great is the computer and the telephone.
You need to stand up so Irv can see you. Otherwise, they're looking around on the DVD going, where is she?
Well, because of Facebook, Messenger, and the telephone and streaming with dog shows, you really are able to keep in touch with the people in other countries and talk to them on the phone at any time at almost no charge. So that enables you to put,
You got to have both of them. Sorry, that was my fault.
Wow. Have a contact with them and be able to be, have a relationship. And usually we have to have that because there are always questions and except for South America, where unless the judges are with English or European standards, there are a lot of questions about the difference of the American Collies and why the people aren't winning in countries that don't have dogs that look like ours. And so you have to keep contact with the people and sell them. It's very important that the temperament on whatever goes is very strong, because they have to be on a plane, they have to go to the country, and and they have to be exposed to a lot. So having a steady temperament is important with the puppies.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Okay, good. How does outcrossing affect what you're looking for in your puppies? Do you look at them the same way you look at those dogs that you're accustomed to seeing? How long do you wait? When do you decide, maybe this isn't going to work, and we're going to start with Lotta?
Well, I think you look at them the same. I think you just have to wait longer when you pick the puppies, because they do different things, and they go through different stages because different lines develop in different ways. And that's reality. It's very helpful if you have the breeder of the stud dog look at the puppies too, which, we've been fortunate when we've done our crosses to do. But it's always, you just have to wait. It really is reality, and sometimes you have to wait longer, and sometimes it doesn't work.
Okay,
And that's the way it is.
yeah. Nancy?
I think you really have to focus on an outcross as to what you've specifically outcrossed for, and look at the puppies from that eye instead of what you expect your own puppies to look like. So I think I find it difficult to outcross to start with, because we have a pretty tight breeding program, and I really detest going out. So I really have to focus my thoughts on the puppies to not pick what I normally would pick, and to go and to actually focus on the virtues I'm trying to bring in. So it can take longer.
Okay. Diana, you're good?
I'm kind of a little bit of the outcross queen with several of my breedings, and I don't even know. I mean, because I'm not such a high volume breeder, I guess I don't have as much of an opinion. The thing that I've noticed most is I've got some different temperaments that I didn't really like, or just little things that I'm not really sure I like that. And so that's where I've come from. The breeding before last, I bred to an outcross, and I wanted a head type, and I kept the bitch that had the head type for the most part. And I'm happy with her, but she doesn't have the showmanship that I was looking for. So
what do you do then?
I kept her.
Sorry.
But I probably won't breed her. I mean, I show her. I'm probably going to go back and breed someone else that is more, got the temperament that I like.
Okay. Nancy?
I just want to say, I think outcrossing is also a very long-term goal, and sometimes you don't get what you wanted from it for 2 to 3 generations. I think that's why I always look at my outcrosses, and you
Right.
pick up virtues, but you pick up things you don't like, and then you try to bring everything back to what you originally went out for.
Okay. Anybody else? Marianne, you good? Okay. This is kind of a different type question. It's not on there. It's very specific to Nancy Anstruther, but I'd like for you all to speak to this, because you all live in different parts of the country. Nancy doesn't live in the country. She lives on the other side of the country, and she lives in a climate, you know how we all say, oh, it's warm down here, my dogs never have coat. I wish I lived where it was nice and cold. Nancy, raising puppies in the snow, when does it stop snowing where you live?
It stopped snowing now. It's nice now. It started to melt. But when we have a winter litter, which we try hard not to do because it's a real pain, those puppies are in the house all the time. They get very well socialized, because they just can't go out in 30 below weather, though we do take them for little walks and stuff like that. And they often come to the nationals, and it's 6 months, and they have a fit because they've never been on grass. And they don't know how to potty. So we have a really good puppy room set up, and they have shavings in there, and they have their toys, and they're just in the house. And we have 2 puppies right now that are 5 months old, and so they were raised pretty much all winter, because we had a brutal winter. It was 40 below, and for like 2 solid weeks. So they're really outgoing puppies. But, yeah. It can be difficult.
So you know that. Feast or famine? Here you go. Okay, problems. Now, you're in California. What issues do you have with raising puppies in California? Any?
I think as a whole, there's just more laws. It gets scarier, even though I'm on acreage. We have 25 acres, and we're very rural. Someone turned me in years ago, and so now animal control knows how many dogs I have. I didn't have them licensed at the time. So it's a little more stressful having dogs and worrying about someone showing up and saying, oh, you have more than you said. So that would probably be the thing that is most irritating to a lot of us breeders there. Personally, I live in an area now, Northern California, and it rains a lot, which I love. And it's colder, so the coats probably are a little better, though I have to agree, Nancy years ago told one of my co-breeders that coat was genetic. And it is, because I have some dogs that just don't have a lot of coat and some that have more.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter, and they all have the same environment.
Okay. Lotta, anything you have to do special for your puppies in the area of the country you're at?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if it's winter, it's winter. I mean, we pretty much do the same thing, with it.
Okay.
They're in until a certain age, and then they go into the garage. If it's cold, we have a heater, and we just kick on the heater. This year it's... Oh, well, I don't know.
I think they're asking you just to talk a little louder. Here, we'll pull this closer. There we
Okay.
go.
I said we pretty much do the same thing. We have the garage set up, and if it's winter, we have a heater set up in there, so the puppies go out the same time no matter what, and we just turn on the heater. And if it's really, really cold, they just stay in the garage longer, and that's just the way it is. So, but we have a big pen set up in the garage with pellets, and so if it's cold, they just stay in there longer, and that's just the way it is.
Marianne, you're the opposite of Nancy.
Opposite, totally.
You're
Summer is I hate midsummer puppies because it gets so hot and humid in Virginia that they figure air conditioning out really quickly, and they start screaming to come back in as soon as it starts to get hot and humid. So, and I don't like leaving them out in the heat and humidity because I just don't think they are as in good condition when they're not comfortable.
Yeah.
So I end up doing a lot of hauling them in and out, first thing in the morning, then back out midday to potty, and then back in the afternoon, and then back out in the evening. If they're summer puppies, it's a lot of work.
Okay, so winter puppies for you are a lot of work. Summer puppies
Yeah.
are a lot of work for you, but it's something that you deal with. Okay,
Absolutely.
each of you, what is it that you do special for your puppies that brings out who they're going to be, what you want them to be, what they can be? Marianne, we'll start with you.
Well, that's a long answer. It really starts from the very beginning. I've been self-employed most of my life, so I have a lot of flexibility. So the first thing I do is the puppies are born in my office, and I think I had a picture of the whelping box. I can take one side off of it. So when the puppies are starting to get up on their feet, I open that one side, and then I build a little plastic play area around the outside. So now they have the whelping boxes, their little sleeping area, and they can go out and potty and play in the open area. So really by 2.5 weeks, they're starting to understand the difference in where they go to the bathroom and things like that. The bitch has in the plastic pen area part, I make it so the bitch can come and go as she pleases. So my bitches can pretty much have free access to the puppies. It's their decision what they want to do. They can come or go as they please. I don't lock them in or lock them out. And I really feel like that's important too, to have the bitch interacting with them as much as possible. And I start, as soon as their eyes are open, as soon as they start to hear, just when I start interacting with the puppies and rewarding them for the behaviors that I'm looking for, which is I want them to respond to me, to pay attention to me. So if they look at me or they come to me, I praise them. And I do that as soon as they're up on their feet and their eyes are open. So they're constantly getting reinforced for all the behaviors that down the road I'm looking for. Eye contact is so important. They all get names as soon as, they start reacting, that they have a name. I use the name, and I find that they can learn and respond to their names as early as 5 weeks and know who they are. And I know that it's very popular now to build those PVC play areas with all the stuff dangling down. Have you all seen the, it's spoons on one end and that? And I like those. I think they're fun and they're good for the puppies. But what's missing, in my opinion, from that is the interaction with the human being. And I feel like that's the most important thing. That we have tug toys, we have balls, I have little tiny felt balls I throw for them when their mouths are big enough, or sometimes tennis balls when their mouths can't get around the ball. So when they're little, I start with really small, soft toys that I can throw for them and bring them back, play with them. I have tunnels, little tunnels in the basement. Our basement's kind of junky, so there's like all kinds of things they can get over and under when I finally move them down to the basement. I spend a lot of time with the puppies.
How many of you are looking at this picture and going, my puppies would have eaten that by now?
Do you have the one where, Nancy's the one where they're on top of it? I think it's the next one. Yeah. Yeah, this gets removed fairly soon after because I still have it, but it's gone through a lot of litters. But yeah, that puppy's 5 weeks old. He's already climbing over the top of the thing. So, and outdoors, it's the same thing. I don't just throw them outside. I go out there and sit with them and play with them. And I think that's, if I were going to say the two important things are interacting and play, are probably, for little puppies, like a small child, it's the most important thing you can do.
Right, and I'm going to kind of put this on to Nancy now. DHA.
Yeah.
How many of you know what DHA is? You should see it, it's plastered on everything for people and dogs now. Do you want the technical term, or we'll skip that and go on to it? Just DHA, talk about DHA, what it is and what you think about it.
I wrote it. I had to send this stuff because I don't even know about it.
Well, tell us what you feel about it.
It's supposed to help brain development, especially in young puppies. So we always give our mothers DHA, and then when the puppies as soon as they start on food, we also add it to their food, and it's supposed to help, and I love it. And it's part of an omega-3 vitamin, so they get their DHA and their EPA.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's in dog foods now. So if you're buying dog foods, look to see that that's there, because I think studies show that in people and animals, it does help with that brain development. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to touch on this not as a promotion for anybody's food. How important do you think the food is that you feed your puppies to help them develop? Because I know there are all sorts of foods out there, and the marketing is wonderful. They're going to soak you into it. What do you feel about food? And what do you feel about, do you feed an adult food, or do you actually feed a puppy food? And if you feed a puppy food, how long do you feed it? Who wants to start? Diana.
I feed raw, and I've been feeding raw since 1994. So I have 8 generations fed and raised like that. And I like to wean the puppies later than sooner and let the mom wean when she wants to. I always keep them on. I let her decide when she's done with the puppies. And I've been very happy with it. And I buy whole meaty bones, and with the little puppies I do get ground. But usually by the time my puppies are 12 weeks old, they're eating whole chicken leg quarters with even their baby feet. So I like it.
Nancy?
We feed puppy food. We don't feed raw. We just feed puppy food, and we start them on the puppy, and we also are big believers in vitamin C in puppy development and for the older dogs. So they start on some crystalled vitamin C in their gruel, right? And then by the time they're 3 months old, they're on 500 milligrams each of a vitamin C, plus the DHA. And then we feed puppy food up till they're 6 months, and then we put them onto an adult food at that point.
Okay. Lotta?
I feed ProPlan Performance, which is in all life stages. So
Okay, all life stages.
all of it. And I'm a big believer in NuPro, so that's what they all get.
Okay.
And so,
I feed large breed puppy because it's formulated, the protein is formulated for their growth rates, and there is some science behind not feeding them too much protein for their bones and joints. So that's
Okay,
what I
and you also specifically said your puppies each receive their own bowl. Why do you think that's important?
Well, I think when I wrote that, I was thinking about, why do I do that? Because that's like ridiculous. But
They're honest.
I want them to get away from the pack mentality. It's more that I want them to be more bonded to me and more focused on people than their litter mates, and try to keep them out of that pack, too much out of that pack mentality. So yeah, I start feeding them individually, little gruel. I'll sit and watch TV with a little bowl, and also have them stand on the table so they're. So any of you eat at my dining room table, I do put a towel down. So they each get a start that way, and sometimes the littler ones, then they get to eat without having to compete too. And then as they get older, I feed the individual bowls. A lot of mine eat really fast, and then they race to the next puppy and try to eat all that food too. And I tried an experiment once. Nancy will put a bowl down, and I watch her puppies, and they'll go over and nibble a little bit and walk away. So I was like, how do you do that? How do you put that food down and they don't eat it all at once? So she said, well, you just have to feed them a lot. Have it there. So I put a bowl down. I was like, all right. They ate it all. And then I put another bowl down, and they ate it. I'm like, I can't do that anymore. That doesn't work. So we literally have to put them in different parts of the room to try to get everybody to eat their own food. But mainly it's just to get away from that pack mentality.
Okay.
And I also separate puppies to eat probably as early as 7 weeks. So because of the same reason that she mentioned, pack.
We're going to kind of just poll the audience here just so that they can get the amusement factor of this too. How many of you feed your puppies all out of the same bowl? Raise your hand.
What age?
Puppies through what, would you say? Let's say up through 8 weeks. How many of you feed them in the same bowl? How many of you feed your puppies individually? Okay, so, and they're all thriving. But if you have certain puppies, you might try just the opposite and see what happens. So, Nancy, you said when we were talking about puppies eating on Marianne's dining room table, it reminded me of something that Nancy said about the importance of getting puppies on a table and having them stack.
Yeah,
When do you do that? How long do you do that? And what do you see the benefits of being?
I just started it because it's pretty much just me at home and my husband, and so I don't have other people to hold puppies, and so I look at them. So I put them on the table at 6 weeks, and I start to stack them at that point, and we do this pretty much every day And we take pictures every week until they're about 10 weeks old so we can watch their development. And I just love it because I can feel when there's a well-balanced puppy, because you put it on the table and its little feet just go just where it needs to be. You can, then the neck is set just correctly, and there's a different feel to the puppies when you start doing this type of thing. And you can, I went to pick up a litter, a puppy out of a litter, and they were about too young to pick, so they were 5 weeks old, but I took this little puppy and I stacked her on this step, and I went, oh, this is the one I'm going to take. And I went back and saw them at 9 weeks, and she was still just what I wanted. So there's just a feel, and I think it really helps the puppies to find their center of balance, which I think is so important in a dog. I don't like those stacking blocks because I think it gives them a false sense of where their feet should go. I want them to feel it, and then when they're on a leash, they just know that this is where their feet go because they're used to it from being on the table. And then they're used to the table.
Does anybody not know what stacking blocks are? Okay, good. Any other comments about, do you stack your dogs? Nope? Okay. We're good. What do you do to make a connect with a puppy, or all the puppies? Let's start with Diana. She's smiling at me. She's like, darn, that didn't work.
I think living with them, I mean, just like, temperament testing and taking puppies out. I start clicker training them at 5 weeks. I take my puppies out, that, especially the ones that I'm interested in, and start clicker training them to bait and using themselves. And that's so quick and so easy. I mean, I can get a little puppy. I mean, I've had them 5 weeks just standing like a little show dog, and at adults, they're like that too. And I just love training them that way. And I also do puppy recalls at that age. And I think that's a huge connection, also getting them to learn to take treats from your hand. And that's a big connection builder.
Okay, Lotta?
I just spend a lot of time with them.
Okay, you're going to have to talk louder because I'm seeing people go, they're reaching forward to hear you.
I spend a lot of time with them. I mean, that's basically what I do. I don't really do a lot. I mean, we go for walks. I spend a lot of time in the pen with them, playing with them. I don't really do a lot of things.
How
I really
much
don't.
time do you spend in the pen with them, though? You're saying you don't do a lot of things, but
I
I think they're hearing. But when you're in that pen, how long are you in there?
I
How
can
many
sit
times
in
a
there
day?
for an hour, just like,
Okay, so it's time. consuming.
and just sitting there, and they pull my hair and I mean, they like to just play, and it's like, and that's like their bonding time, like just jumping on
And
me.
it works because there's a picture of you in the ring sitting on the floor, and I think the dog is laying in your lap
Yeah,
with his face up at you.
yeah.
So there is the
And I mean,
connect.
that's the kind of stuff I do. If it's a nice day, I'll just sit down out there and they just maul me. And that's like their favorite thing to do.
Okay, so we have one clicker training, we have one mauling. We're going to go to Nancy and then Mary Ann. What do you do?
Question.
The question was, what do you do to make that connect?
Well, we do it. We spend a lot of time with our puppies. We have a really small house, so the litter box is pretty much between our bedroom and the kitchen, and we're with the puppies all day long. And we bring them out with little blankets when they're 3 weeks old, so they can walk around the house and play with the cats and do whatever they want to do. And we gave up having a nice house years ago, so it just is what it is. And then we take them out. We have 20 acres, and we're in the middle of nowhere, so they go out for big pasture walks with us and the older dogs, and they learn to follow us, and we spend a lot of time with them, too.
Okay, so we have clicker training, mauling, patterning.
I mean, I also spend a lot of time in the litter box with them. My kids sit in there for hours, and I mean, they just,
And your litter box is where?
It's in my bedroom.
It's in your bedroom
Yeah.
up there.
So, I mean, I'll sit in there, I've fallen asleep in there, I mean, it's, once they get to the point where the mother is not in there all the time, where it's like, they're, 2 weeks old and, they're So, I mean, but once they get older, I can spend hours out there where they're just,
Mary Ann?
I think that what's hard to remember sometimes is we spend so much time, like if you work, it's really hard, I think, for people to raise a litter of puppies because they're gone at work all day, and you spend so much time just cleaning up after them and talking on the phone to people that you forget how important it is to spend that time with the puppies. And just sit there, and when you're sitting there playing and you're looking at them and evaluating them constantly too, and observing the changes that they go through. But ours come up at night. I'll do 2 at a time. And they'll just I'll sit on the floor with them and watch TV and play with them and just look at them, or throw like a bunch of toys on the floor and play with them there. But I try to keep it down to 2 or 1 if I need to, just focus on 1, but try to just bring like 2 at a time up so they can get a little more individual attention.
Okay.
Up till, time they go to their new homes.
And you've kind of given us a little picture of what it's like. How are your kennels set up so that this nurturing occurs? Lotta?
well, we have a smaller shed that's right near the house, and that's always where we keep the puppies. So it's easy for them to come into the house, so we always rotate. So the younger crew is always in that shed. So that's where they're raised, and so they always come into the house because it's easier to.
So from your bedroom to the shed?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
from the bedroom to the garage and then to the shed.
Okay.
Yeah. So this way it's easy access to just bring them into the house so they can come into the house a lot and visit and hear,
Okay. Mary Ann, do you have a kennel building?
No, I have, downstairs I have 4x4 kennels where the dogs eat and sleep, and they're out in the yard during the day. And the old dogs just are upstairs claiming all the furniture. So there's not really a kennel. I have a dog door in the basement. In the summertime, they can come and go in the air conditioning. And we built our house, sort of designed it for the dogs. The only thing I would change is the basement. We have to go downstairs and hauling those puppies up and down the stairs it's getting old. So that I would change that if we were going to redo our house, but otherwise they're just pretty much part of us, part of our family.
Okay, Diana?
We have a small house, and the puppies are born in our living area, and I'll stay there, sleep in the living room for about 3 weeks right next to them. And in our bedroom, I have a slider that goes out to my dog yard. And so where they're born and also where our bedroom is, we have 2 sliders so I can see the dog yards from either room. And then when they go outside, they're right there. I can hear them. My garage is just attached to the yard also, and so they can go in and out when they're older. That's where I feed my dogs, where I have crates and they can get in and out of the weather. And I have shelter outside too, and dog houses, but it's pretty tight. We're pretty close, all one level, so I don't have to worry about stairs, which is I always worry about with old dogs. So
Yeah.
it's pretty.
Yours use the dog houses? Mine never go in their dog houses.
Not really. I mean, if they're locked in a lower pen and it's cold, I'll have 1 or 2 dogs that will go in there. But most of the time, they'll just sit right next to the door looking at me. They want to be in.
That's what I'm doing.
Okay, Nancy?
Well, for our puppies, we have a puppy room in the house, like I said, and they're in the backyard. It's a large fenced area, and then there's 3 smaller pens within that fenced area, and one is a designated puppy pen. And I'm kind of a freak about puppies, so I carry every one of them individually outside. I'd never let puppies go up and down stairs. They don't even learn stairs until they're at least 4 months old. So I do a lot of carrying in and out of the house. So they go to that back pen and they can pretty much see me during the day. And then we have a kennel building, which is kind of far away, which we can't really even see from the house, that we have the dogs sleep in at night, the older dogs. Puppies don't go there till they're about 5 months old. And so there's a pen off of there, and then there's a big pen over here, and then there's the pen behind the house. So the dogs, they all graduate from here to there to, they want to be at the house pen, so they spend more time with us. So we kind of play them around, and depends who needs to see mom more, that gets to be in the back pen, or who the specials are always in the back pen so they can spend more time with me. And then the puppies are carried around.
What do you think is the one thing that, and it might bubble over into something else, that you do that you think is the best for a puppy? If people could do just one thing, or if you could only do one thing to nurture your puppies, what would that one, they're looking like, oh gosh, that wasn't on the list.
Never one thing.
Well, bring that out.
3 things.
Okay, that's fine. Like I said, if it bubbles over.
I think the most important thing is that they get love, great food, exercise, and sun. I mean, and I think that a lot of our dogs don't get enough exercise and they don't get enough sun.
What are you calling exercise? Because everybody has a different picture of that. Well, I let my dog out in the yard.
Well, and I'm in that position right now because I used to run my dogs a lot. I lived in the desert and we did a run every day, and they got a lot of exercise and they were very fit. And then we moved to this property, and now I have horses on most of my property. I have an issue 6 months out of the year or more. We have rattlers and we have foxtails, and both those things come about the same time. So there's only about 4 months out of the year that I could run them on my property and not worry about injury or getting bit. So they don't have as much room as they used to, but ideally I think they need to go for a good long run once or twice a day, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes is ideal. I think they need to be out in the sun and get the vitamin D. And I think our dogs are lacking that.
Okay.
Some dogs.
Okay, Mary Ann.
Well, I think we might be unique in that all 4 of us have land, even though you have less than you used to, but
Well, I have the same amount, I just don't let them out as
a
much.
big area, but
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are really restricted by the space they have now, or they're trying to raise puppies in suburbia, and they have yards and neighbors, and if the dogs bark, they have to bring the dogs in right away. And those puppies aren't getting enough exercise, whether you're a breeder or a pet owner. And I totally agree with you that when I taught puppy class, I said your puppy, they come in and the puppies would be wild, and I'd say, how much exercise? Well, we leash walk them twice a day. No, that is not exercise. They need sustained aerobic exercise.
Preferably off a leash.
Off leash, yeah. And that develops muscles.
Does this sound
it
like us
develops
too?
Appetite.
People are all going, I don't do that.
And it's hard, but I think it's really important. And you post pictures, both of you, they're running with the horses and everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so important.
They do. They run all day
It's
long.
mentally good for them. And like you're saying, if they're not getting that exercise, they're wackos. And I might have one right now here in the building that needs more exercise.
We're all going to see that by the end of the week. Okay, any other comments? I mean, it's good that you played off each other about what are those important things. So that sunshine, get them out there. It's hard during the winter months. Nancy brought that up, it was 40. Yeah, this was a brutal winter for everybody. We're all ready for spring in the mud. The mud is almost looking good at this point. Maybe not so much, but. So that exercise is extremely important to them. If you could change anything about the way people, and you talked about training classes, and you've seen people training their puppies. If you could change anything that people do about training those puppies, what would be your advice to them? Understand what I'm saying? Yeah, we got it.
I think one thing that years ago when we all gotten dogs is they were corrected pretty hard. And the collies, especially in obedience, had really poor temperaments because they couldn't handle that kind of correction. So then a lot of us learned how to use food and more praise, and that was good because you started seeing attitudes up. But then now you see people that give way too much food, and they're afraid to give a correction to their dog. And it's not bad to give a correction to the dog. It's to your collie if it's fair. And people need to learn when a correction is fair and when it's not. And food is great, but you have to learn how to give food so they're not expecting food and not listening to you when you don't have food.
Okay, anybody else?
I would say stop overtraining them when they're little.
Yes.
Like little people that take these little 3-month-old puppies and train them and take them to classes and want them to stand and stay and do all this stuff. And by the time they hit the ring, they're bored to tears with you.
And they have all these little robots
Yes.
that doesn't have fun in the ring. I mean, you see all these little dogs that never wags their tails, and I think it's very sad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to have fun in there with your dog, and half of them are not having fun. And I think that's very sad, including half the people don't have fun in there. I mean, you're supposed to have fun in the ring. I mean, that's really what it's about. And if you're not having fun in there, why are you there?
2 or 3 minutes of show training is plenty.
Yeah, I mean, I never spend any long sessions at all, ever, when I train puppies. I mean, 5 minutes tops, 10 minutes is at the very most, if it, like they just don't get it. I mean, it's never any long things that I do, ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Because puppies get bored, and it's supposed to just be positive. And it's like, you got to end it on a good note. And if it's like, if they do something good, okay, we're done. It's like you can't, you just can't drill things.
So
ever.
don't be tempted to extend that good moment.
No, you got to quit on a good note.
And don't take them to an hour-long handling class.
No, I mean, like, I got a handling class with 4 puppies. And it's like, that's it. We switch around.
Lotta and I actually were talking before this, and we both said we pretty much just kind of train them at 6 months in the ring.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's never some,
how we do it, right?
Yeah, we don't have any videos of us training anything. It's like it's us in the backyard.
When do you train your dogs? This is it. We get that, okay.
Pretty much.
What do you do with that puppy that doesn't want to connect, that you look at and you go, this puppy could be something special, but for some reason, it's aloof, it just is doing its own thing? Do you say, okay, this is not one that I'm going to keep? And we touched on this a little bit before. What do you do?
I usually try to make it a house pet or try to do something with it, to see if you can connect with it. Do something fun with it.
Okay.
I try to figure out what motivates it. Is it, it could be food, it could be toys, it could just be it likes me, it could, So I have to really spend some more time with it and see just what makes it tick and what's going to make it happy.
Yep.
Okay, so they're not all the same.
No.
Oh, no, they're all different.
No. We've had a dog that was a really great show dog, but he wouldn't touch bait. He didn't like anything. He would just spit it out at me, and he just would like to stand there and look at me. And I'm like, oh, if that's going to work, I can do this. But it took me a while to figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and some of them just like specific bait or just a toy or whatever.
Right, and that kind of folds into disposition. You have to know the disposition of the dog
Yeah.
then? Okay.
I have a question for
Go ahead.
you guys here. If you have a dog like that, have you seen it, a genetic proponent? Like, oh, the dad kind of did that, or the grandfather was kind of like that?
No.
Sorry.
No, they're just some weirdos here and there. Right. That's no oddball.
Okay. Genders. Is there a gender difference in your puppies? What are you looking for? When you do your breeding, do you say, I'm looking for that female, am I looking for that male? Or do you prefer, are males easier to raise than females?
The boys are always sweeter.
The boys are always weird.
Always.
Sweeter?
Sweeter.
Sweeter, I thought you said weird.
No,
Sweeter, yeah.
sweeter. No, they're always
That
sweeter.
makes a difference, thank you. Okay, they're always sweeter. Does that make them easier to train or less easy to train?
I get more attached to them.
So it's an attachment thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a bitch fan.
And you're a bitch fan.
I love
Why?
my bitches.
Why?
Probably because I have a boy right now, but he's intact, and I have 4 bitches that come in at the same time, and it's a pain with, peen and other things. So, but I just love my bitches. I've trained them, I've gotten titles on them, and I just love them. But, a good boy, I found that the couple boys that I've had and kept for the last 2 boys I've had the last 10 years, they just are so sweet and so devoted to me. I mean, they look at me like I'm their everything, and I do love that about them, except the peen.
Except the pee. Lose the pee. Keep the personality. Nancy, do you think there's a difference for you?
I never breed a litter specifically looking for a dog or a bitch. I always just want the best puppy. So we've had, we're keeping way too many dogs right now because I'm really enjoying my boys. I used to do bitches like Diana, they were everything, and now lately it's just I like the boys and we have too many and it's a pain. But I think they're more fun to show, and I don't want to have as many litters as we used to have. I'm getting too old. And I just would rather focus on the boys and send the bitches out to other people and let them whelp the litters, and I'll just scoop them up later.
A method. What about you, Marianne?
Well, a lot of people feel there's a big difference between the boys and the girls, but I disagree because in the temperament testing, I would defy anybody to tell me the difference is gender-driven when I do my temperament testing. I just don't think it's there. I think it's our perceptions or our biases, maybe. And I'm going to jump off the cliff here and say I think the same is true of colors. People say, oh, it's a tri-bitch. No, I don't think so at all. That's my opinion, but I haven't done an extensive study of it. But I just think they are what you make them. And so, I know in performance, the prevailing wish list for performance people was boys because they didn't have to deal with the seasons and all that. And then I sold a couple of females to some performance people who did really, really well. And now it's funny, more people are saying, well, I consider a girl, because before they wouldn't. So I think that's part of our biases. It's got less to do with the actual animals and more to do with what we're looking for.
Okay, you made a real good point about perception. How do you think perception, your perception of a puppy, feeds into what you are going to end up with?
I think it has everything to do with
Okay, explain.
how we pick the puppies. Well, we're looking for the best puppy, so that's a subjective thing for each one of us. We're looking for what we think is best, but what's best for Nancy might not be, or Lotta might not be the best for me. We might have 4 or 5 boys, and we're like, I can't really have one more boy in this house. So you pick a girl, or you like a color preference over another. Sometimes I've asked people who bred to my dogs why they picked the puppy that they picked as their pick puppy, and frankly, I'm kind of astonished at the answers I get because they're very biased. I mean, they're very personal to them. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying that they're bringing, their decisions are based on their biases and their feelings about the thing. It's not this is a subjective thing we're in. It's not, I don't know what to compare it to. We bring a lot of our own desires and thoughts and feelings about it into what we pick for our dogs, I think. Otherwise, we'd all have the same thing.
Okay, Lotta?
I don't know what. I think we always pick the best one that we want, unfortunately, and we have a lot of boys, and we don't pick for color. It's, because for a while we ended up with a lot of pure for sable, and, that was not what we needed, and that's just what happens. It's
That's what
like,
happens.
Yeah.
I'm going to need Vanna to come over here with the other microphone in a minute, because we have a good situation here. We have co-breeders here.
Yeah.
So, and we have another set of co-breeders. We've got Mary Robichon, and where's Mary Jackson? So the question to you ladies specifically is, when you are picking puppies, not who's right or who's wrong, how
And then
close are you?
And then we end up not agreeing half the time, so then we end up with
That's what I want to talk about. So, she'll hold the microphone. Yeah, and then kind of just turn so that the camera can see you. So the question, that question is though, since you co-breed, how do you discern that? How do you come to who you pick?
Well, we sometimes pick the same ones, but then there are different puppies, and we keep them both because, if that's this, and grow them up. And at that point, we usually, if we really both disagree on which is the puppy, and just, that's why we have so many dogs. I would say we have at least 12 dogs that are between the ages of 10 and 14, and they are there, and that's what happens if you grow a lot up. And sometimes we're both right and sometimes we're not. I just wanted to say one other thing. I really believe and have seen over the years the genetic component to temperament is really passed on. And if you have a parent that loves to show, they pass that on. And so, yes, you can make them be a certain way, but if you're lucky enough, that's the main thing. Hopefully you get that with the confirmation as well. But it's been about almost 50 years, and I've watched puppies and really the dams or the sires pass on their traits. So if that's something that you really want, the real showmanship, you have to find a puppy, a sire that will give that to you and hopefully give you the confirmation you want as well. And because as all of us just don't have quite enough time, and I've spent, from the time I was a teenager, and I've had some that weren't that outgoing, that were beautiful, and I went to shopping centers and everywhere with the dogs and tried to acclimate them, but I think I only had a few dogs at that point, and now it's a lot harder. So I think the temperament is, and you can see it at 3 weeks old as well. The ones, you can see what it is. So I think that's important as well as everything else that you're picking for. And
Okay, we're going to do just a little bit of turnabout right here, right now, and see. I mean, whatever you want to do is fine, but I want you to look out into the audience at the people that are here. If you could ask any one of these people a question about their puppies or how they do something, who would it be? And we're going to ask them that question. Is there anybody you'd like to ask something to? Barbara, come on down. Vanna, come on back. Where's Barbara?
She's getting up.
Come on.
I'm getting up.
Face the camera. Here you go. Okay. Your question to her is,
The 3 most important things that you pick in keeping a puppy.
into both
I
of them.
am
No, right in there. They can't hear you.
Hi.
Can you hear her?
I am a face-on expression person. I am not truly a really good detail person. That's the story of my life. I want the dog to look at me and love it, and I just have to have that eye. The skull, if it isn't absolutely bone flat, darn it, I want the eye. That's me personally. That's what I love in a collie. I love to look at them. Temperament is hugely important. And like you say, the show temperament, and that's important to me too. It's so important, I mentioned in the book here, Pfaffenberger, if you ever read his book, he was the one that created Guide Dogs for the Blind. He found that the most important time in a puppy's life is between 3 and 8 weeks. And that's us as breeders. It's like children. If they're not nourished between the 3 and the 8-week period, they're going to maybe be fine pets, but they're not going to have the potential that they could have had. So we are so responsible for that, and I truly believe it. So that's it.
Thank you.
Anybody else, panelists? This is your time. Okay, thank you, Barbara. What do you feel is the greatest negative effect a puppy can have on its development? So from birth to the time it hits that show ring. Now, we talked about, those people that use basically punishment for training. We're talking about anything. What do you think will most likely negatively impact that puppy and thwart it from becoming everything it could become?
Ignoring a litter and just doing the very minimum, not spending time with them.
Okay, anybody else?
If I try to push a puppy too hard, too soon, to do the things I want it to do, that is I'm sure all our collies are very smart, but mine are particularly smart. So and they have really long memories. So if I mess up and I'm frustrated and they won't come out of a crate, or they don't want to walk on the leash and I try to force them, I regret it, because they don't forget.
So you can't train a puppy that's not ready.
Okay. Anybody else? Negatively impact?
There's I was thinking about this for the seminar. There was a little thing on the news that I just caught the very tail end, and it was about the importance of parents interacting with their children. And I tried to find that again, and I couldn't find it. But there's a thing that's, have you ever just turned a dog over to somebody, given to a handler or another person, and you couldn't do anything with the dog, and all of a sudden they were like miraculously showing the dog? Yeah. And there's like this element that's undefinable to me of something that these people all have, that the dog just says, you're in charge, I get it, I can relax, you're going to make me safe, and you're going to make this fun, and we'll go from there. And that's an element, I don't know if it's learned or it's innate or both, but you really almost have to have that. Like, you have to have that element to know when to push, when not to push, to know, when you've gone too far, when you need to go further. There's just some sort of unspoken thing, and that I don't know. I don't even know what to call it, but it's something all the good breeders and handlers do have.
The whisperer effect.
The whisperer effect. Okay, what
Yeah,
about
I don't
those
know.
orphan puppies? The mom, either the milk goes bad or, the mom may die, whatever. You have an orphan litter. what do you have to do to ensure that that puppy is going to be everything it can? Because, from what you're saying, the dam is important on what that puppy is going to become. What do you have to do then to substitute that?
They're monsters.
Talk louder. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're spoiled rotten, those puppies.
Okay,
they
talk
just-
loud, because they're going.
I said they're spoiled rotten, those puppies. They just are, because they get so much attention. If you can find another mother or whatever, because, they just, if there's one, they are bad. Bad, bad, bad. And they are just special, and they know it. And they are like that for the rest of their lives. And they're just fun, though. They really are. There's nothing like a singleton. They just are, there isn't.
Okay, what about when you have that whole litter? What do you do with the whole litter?
Well, you just don't sleep. I just don't. You don't. Yeah, and it's awful. But, you just plow through it. And that's just the way it is. With Facebook, it's really amazing, because these days you can actually find people that have a mother or, something. It truly is amazing. We had a mother that had a litter that died, that somebody else had, and, within 3 hours, I found another mother. And, it really is amazing of how quickly you can find help these days. I'm on 2 different lists, and, it's like, it really is amazing.
Okay, anybody else?
I haven't had an orphan litter, but I bought a orphan gelding, 6-year-old Arab that was a PIA. He was so spoiled because he was bottle fed. So
Okay,
don't do it with horses.
got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have some kind of a stimulation protocol?
I do the early neurological stimulation protocol,
Okay.
and we love it. We do it with every litter, and it takes like 3 minutes out of my day, and I think it makes a huge difference in the
Okay,
puppies.
can you, how many of you know what that is? How many of you have no idea what that is? Go for it, Nancy.
You started at 3 days, and you just do these little exercises that was developed by the military, I believe, right? And you just hold the puppy up from its neck, this up, and then you point it down, and you do everything just for 3 seconds, put it on its back for 3 seconds, you put it on a cold compress for 3 seconds, and then you take a little Q-tip and tickle all their little feet, and that's it. And each puppy gets that done once a day from 3 days to 21 days, I think you do.
Right.
And the puppies just, it's supposed to, stimulate their little neurons and make them smart, and we found it's helped with temperament immensely, because we have dealt with dogs that were spooky and didn't want to show, and once we started doing that, we barely get any dogs that are scared. Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, we always do it.
Okay, how hands-on are you with your puppies? Are you helicopter moms? How much do you let the bitch do her thing? When do you know when to intervene and when to just step back and go for it, Mom?
At what age?
Puppies on, so that newborn through 5 weeks.
I think I'm very, I help, and, but they all knew, but if they need help, I help out. But, I pick them up every day, I make sure that they all gain weight and they're on there and nursing, and I don't weigh them, but, I pick them up every day.
Right,
But,
how many of you do weigh them all the time?
I do.
Okay, how many of you just pick them up and go, they feels right, this one looks right, it's nurturing?
I do both.
You do both?
But inconsistently. If someone starts looking weird,
Yeah, if I think that something's losing weight, I weigh them, but,
Right.
otherwise I don't.
I
Okay.
weigh them every day at the same time, every day. I'm a freak. And we write it down. And if I'm not home, I phone my husband and I say, what did the puppy weigh today?
You didn't gain the 6 ounces the other one did. Some more food.
Something eaten for food. Okay. We're going to get ready for this video from Kings Valley, so it's from Leslie Rappaport.
Hi, I'm Leslie Rappaport. I have Kings Valley Collies. I'm completely biased in favor of collies. I've been raising them for 46 years. My mother and I got our first foundation collies in the early 70s, I believe in 72. And our first litter was in 1974. And since then, I believe I'm at litter 128 or so. And we have produced over 100 breed champions, national specialty winners, winners dog best of winners, best of variety, and best of opposite sex at the national specialties in smooths. And I have to say all along, the most interesting aspect, one of the most interesting aspects of our breed has been their great versatility. That's always been fascinating to me. And in the early days, well, in the 80s, we did a lot of herding with our dogs. We did, our friends did wilderness search and rescue. They've done all kinds of obedience, and now agility and freestyle dance. And my passion now is, as many people know, balance and mobility work to help people remain ambulatory by bringing trained colleagues into their lives that can help them walk safely and do more each day with less effort. That kind of breeding for purpose is my passion, and this topic of epigenetics is particularly exciting to me for that reason.
Hi, this is Jack Mack, and I want to talk to you about the fascinating science of genetics. Well, in actual fact, I want to talk to you about the new exciting field of genetic science called epigenetics. Now, epi literally means above. So when I say epigenetics, I mean above genetics. Our bodies are made up of cells, and inside our cells there's a nucleus. Inside the nucleus are things called chromosomes, and our chromosomes are made up out of DNA, which is our genetic blueprint for life. Our DNA blueprints are completely finalized at the moment of conception, and they never change throughout our entire lifetime. These blueprints determine our default future physical characteristics. Things like whether we'll be male or female, how tall we might grow, what our hair or eye color might be, etc. However, the genes don't always do what they're supposed to do. Although the DNA blueprint never changes, the packaging around the DNA, things called methyl groups and histones, sometimes switch off the gene and therefore stop it from acting according to plan. Epigenetics studies these potential changes and how these changes can be passed along to our children along with the DNA itself. It's like sticking Post-it notes to a blueprint and saying, that's the plan, but don't do that part of the plan. To understand this best, it helps to think about twins. What's up, Identical twins have the exact same genetic DNA blueprint in every single way. And if we separate two exact identical twins for 3 decades, the first experience is a peaceful, happy life with access to a healthy diet and no major emotional trauma or stress in his work. The other is malnourished as a child, addicted to drugs as a teen, and grows overweight in his 20s. He loses his wife to a car accident and has a very high-stress job. Standing them side by side after 30 years, we would likely see some very visible external differences. But more than that, there would be lasting changes at an epigenetic level. The blueprint would remain unchanged and identical, but the overriding cellular activity would have changed the way some of those genes had expressed themselves permanently. This science is very new, but early indications suggest that these epigenetic changes not only impact the individual, but can potentially be passed on to children, grandchildren, and beyond. Things like stress and diet seem to have a profound lasting effect over how our genetic blueprint operates. And so a stressed pregnant mother with a bad diet could potentially be impacting the epigenetics of her grandchildren. This is a fascinating new field of science and one we're certain to hear more about. But for now, I'll just be trying to manage my own diet and stress, not just for my sake, but for the sake of my grandchildren. Jack Mack, over and out.
So back to the epigenetics and the nutrition and the key role of nutrition in puppy development and the development of the full activation of the genome. The videos that you'll be seeing begin at a very young age, and as you'll see, as the mother weans the puppies, we are already an active part of their daily life. Our interactions with people gradually become expanded. They begin by how we hold them, how we move them through space as babies, as infants, but continue when the puppies move to the socializing pen. We sit with them, we allow them to and encourage them to climb all over us, to interact with us, to initiate the interactions, and we reward them for that. Physical contact is a big part of my puppy raising scheme and continues through their lives.
I think I lost count. Seems like they've been at 130 for a long time. Trying to remember, I think the last one my mom and I raised together was 113. 112 or 113. Look at that baby. Beautiful tongue action. Oh, the girl is so excited you're talking about it. I know that he's excited. What a good girl. You're such a big girl. Stay mine now. You are getting mine now. Look at that. Yum. Good boy. I really like to feed them on the 9th day, not make them wait 3 weeks. They're so capable of eating at this age and they love it so much. Yes. Wow, boy. They're really sticking their chins out quite well to the spoon. That's hard when you're used to nursing and pulling the nipple to you, you know. Yep. This is the first one. I just like, look at this. Very first meal. They're just very well programmed, you know, to be. They'll be fine, Mary. They're fine. They're going to learn how to get to you. And they can go see Heather too. Oh, look, they're already socializing with you, Heather. They're coming over to see you. That's VIP. Everybody is nursing, getting used to their new space. Mary seems very happy to be able to stretch out and have her babies all with her. And VIP is already so satisfied she's going on with life, exploring new things. Mount Heather.
As the puppies grow, I expanded on the nutrition as environment and added enrichment apparatus to the environment as nutrition of a different type, mental nutrition. I tried to expose the puppies to as many different terrain changes, elevation changes, footing changes, interactive play, not just with each other, but with other toys. As you see in the entertainment box apparatus, moving surfaces, the rocking bridge, and you'll notice that food continues to play a vital role in their introduction to these new environments. As you'll see, what begins as puppy apparatus is expanded as the puppies grow up, and it enables them, I believe, to encounter new experiences as adult dogs with a positive attitude and a history of success encountering new experiences that enables them to feel confident even when encountering things that they have never seen before. And I believe and hope that this expanded knowledge will be passed on through their genetics and through what I consider epigenetics applied to temperament. Good. Good baby, do you like your toys? Look at them, swing, 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 swing. Yum, like a purple dinosaur? Good. What did you like? Mamas love the toy too. Good. Yes, good puppies. Isn't that wonderful? Oh my gosh. You are having so much fun watching your boys, aren't you? Yummy. Yes, talking about it. Nice little sheath, perforated metal you're standing on. Good babies. That's good, yes. Good. Let me get to the shade so I can videotape you there. Up on the stairs to get to the snuffle rug. Good puppies. Only two are with me. Come on, puppies. Annie. Look. Look, puppies. That's a girl, Annie. Yay. Yay, Annie. Good, Annie. Good, Tony. There's a good boy. Good, Tonis. Good boy. Let's try it. Yay, good, Annie. Get out of the sun in the tunnel. Good. Good boy. Good girl. Good girl. Puppies in the tunnel. There they come. Good puppies. So you have to be a magnet, call them. As my friend says, you have to be more exciting than spit on the sidewalk to get them interested. Good puppies, yay! Good babies, wonderful, good puppies. And if you sit down, they'll crawl into your laps. They love, love, love laps. So we want to encourage, so we want the ramp to be the good space, so everything good happens in the new environment, and that motivates them to stay on the metal. They're learning about metal now, so that when they grow up in life, they're not afraid of metal stairs and metal ramps at airports and stuff like that. Libby, Libby, come here. There's laps down here for you. Good. Sarah, you need to call somebody so you have there's Brightling. Brightling will come up you, Sarah. Yay, there you got your puppy. That's good. That is so wonderful. Yay, fabulous. You guys have it now. What a good girl, Vicky. Good girl. See, they can't lose now. Wherever they go, they've got a lap. It's perfect. It's interesting to see them lie down and chew the rings, even though they're hanging and swinging. They seem to be holding their interest more than the other toys at this age. Good puppies. Well, good night, puppies. I'll see you in the morning. Sleep well, have fun with your toys. Good night. that's very exciting to me to think that with each generation, I can produce dogs that actually have an aptitude for this, for going out into the world and seeing it in a positive way and bringing their hearts, their wisdom, their souls to their work. That's what excites me the most. And I can't wait to see what other breeders do and how they integrate this new knowledge in their breeding programs and see how the changes that they see in their puppies as they raise them with enriched environments and perhaps other aspects of their genetic selection process will show too, and I can't wait to hear about that. So I hope you all keep in touch with me because I want to hear about your success too. Thank you.
Said everybody
Okay, an amazing breed, amazing people. You are all part of that. We're going to take a break until 10:30. There's still some food back there. Make sure you're all back then. Don't forget to start writing down those questions.